Hello everyone, this is Raymond Dijkstra from Saor Alba NL, the YouTube channel for Netherlands for Scottish Independence. Today we're joined by my good friend, Mr. Pat Lee. How are you doing, mate?
Very well, Raymond. Thank you for the invite to the broadcast.
Yeah, well, you're always welcome, mate. Um, I've told you basically what we're trying to do is with this YouTube channel, is to enhance and improve on international support for Scottish independence.
Yeah.
My first question to you is, how important do you think international support for Scottish independence is?
On the broad sense of the word, it's massively important. Should this came to my attention today via Craig Murray, the UK ambassador to Kazakhstan. For Scotland to become independent, it has to be recognised by the international stage. So the events that yourself, Netherlands for Independence, for Scottish Independence, and Germans for Scottish Independence, we now have the Poles for Scottish Independence, the Italians for Scottish Independence, and we have our own Eva Gerber, who cycled all the way from her home in Germany,
Exactly.
over 1,000 miles
Exactly.
to show support for Scottish independence. So it's vitally important because we don't actually need a referendum, and we're not likely to get permission for a referendum. And in Craig's words, we simply have to declare. Now, his view is that all we have to do is recall our MPs, our MSPs, and our MEPs.
Mm-hmm.
That effectively could be seen as recalling three estates, as they call them in Scotland, and create a national assembly. Something that we were thinking on the lines of the People's Doorstep referendum.
Yeah,
But we didn't know if we had the support to do that. We were thinking of that last year.
Yeah.
So I hope that's plan B, because the UK government have stated categorically that now will never be the time. So whenever we go to ask for that Section 30, that permission to have the powers to hold a legally binding, legally unquestionable referendum, that's going to be denied us at every opportunity. So having the international stage on board with us is massively important.
Yeah. And, in extension to that, I forgot what I was I'm like that at work as well. And then you're talking to customers, but I've completely lost it. Well, the thing is with the internet, like we said on the show as well, with the international support, there's the problem there is still that a lot of things are known. Basically, they are known within the UK because mainstream media is just not showing the truth. Basically, they're just lying to you. But when you're at events like the events for instance, you've been there twice now in The Hague. We've had these people coming up to us, and when you talk to them about how things basically are now, they are amazed and appalled, really, on how things are. Do you, although these events in Europe are relatively small if you compare them to the ones in Scotland, do you think they can have a big effect because of that, because of talking to people there?
Most definitely. As I've stated at these events, it's not the size of the event.
Hmm.
The significance is that we are on the European stage. Now,
Yeah.
being a socialist, I was one who voted to leave the EU because it's basically a big business cartel. But on hindsight, since the referendum and since the debacle of Westminster since 2016, three and a half years, we have seen the contempt and the disdain that Scotland is looked upon in this United Kingdom. In 2014, they said, remain, be part of it, lead us, don't leave us. So being on the European stage and being able to broadcast and speak to the Europeans and gain the interest from the European press, which has been massive compared to our state-installed controllers at the BBC. I mean, we have marched and campaigned here in Britain for the last 5.5 years, or 5 years come next weekend. The anniversary is the 21st, the 18th of September. So we'll have a rally in Glasgow in the 18th. And very, very, very little has ever been broadcast. Now, to show you the contempt that they hold for the grassroots, which is tens of thousands of grassroots people supporting independence coming together on a almost this month, almost weekly basis. Not one word in the BBC. Not one word. Yet in the last week, we have had 3 parades for Irish unity in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Staged, staged, because you know and I know that when we broadcast, if there's an event coming up, then the police may contact us to garner some liaison information, intelligence, as it were. If I'm commenting on an event that's coming up and they wish to know the attendees, the expected numbers, they lift the phone and they contact me. And we cooperate. We cooperate.
Yeah.
The same applies to the Orange Order and the Hibernian Order. March went ahead last Friday, a week past on Friday, that was marred by violence, by disturbance. And Glasgow City Council gave permission for that march to take place at 9 o'clock in the evening, 9 o'clock in the evening on the weekend leading up to the Old Firm. For your viewers and your listeners, the Old Firm are the two football teams two main football teams in Glasgow. That's Glasgow Celtic and Glasgow Rangers. And it has been marred for decades, if not centenaries, with opposing views that lead to violence. Now, if the authorities know that I'm holding an event, they lift the phone, they contact me direct. I don't ask them to, but they do it. The same applies to these events. And it just so happened that there was 150 fully clothed, fully protected riot police in attendance at that rally, but there was still violence. We have marched for 6 years, not one arrest.
Yeah.
And the BBC gives it no coverage. What it is
Exactly.
doing is ignoring the voice of at least 52% and rising.
Exactly. And I was there last year in Edinburgh, and there was like 190,000 people there. Not one incident. The only thing that would come even close to being aggression type of thing was Mr. Manky Jacket with his band of goons there. But that's basically it. And with him, it's always the same story. Well, you've been part of the union for 5,000 years. Always been like it's only 300 years, but for him it's 5,000 years. It might seem 5,000 years, but that's all different story. But again, like I said, it's peaceful always. And again, yeah, no, 190,000, and you don't see anything in the mainstream media,
Yeah.
not at all.
Glasgow this year. Glasgow this year, they actually did a timed still of the
Hmm.
march where they took a photograph
Yeah.
and were able to count. And we reckoned on our estimations that we had 150,000. But by trawling the stills, they estimate it was actually 220,000. So if that was Glasgow, Edinburgh was bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
The biggest peaceful celebration, because I don't call it a demonstration.
No.
It's a celebration that we are moving towards Scotland's independence.
Definitely.
It's an unstoppable force, and that force is the people.
Definitely. Another thing we've talked about this on the shows that we do numerous times. What would your, for better word, chose for better word, advice be to the Scottish government and in particular Nicola Sturgeon? What needs to happen?
What needs to happen is Nicola Sturgeon and the Scottish Government, or the SNP, backed by the Greens, have to deliver the second independence referendum. If that is the route they are going to go down, as I stated earlier, there is no requirement in international law for a referendum to be held. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Czechoslovakian Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, all have gained their independence without a referendum. It's actually quite unusual to actually hold a referendum when, in living memory, 194 countries have gained their independence and are recognised by the United Nations as being independent nations. So that, hopefully, is the plan B, because we know we're going to be denied that Section 30. So my plea to Nicola Sturgeon is rush through. These are emergency times, so emergency laws can be put in place. We are talking about the legislation for that second independence referendum. Let's use emergency powers to ensure that that legislation goes through. And we know that during that time, Nicola is going to apply or request the legal powers to hold the second independence referendum. Preferably, her preference is late summer, early autumn of 2020. Let's pull it forward. Let's bring emergency powers in, put the legislation in place, and be rejected for our request for that Section 30 at our earliest, and then simply recall our MPs, our MSPs, and our MEPs, and create a National Assembly and make that declaration. And then you can use that declaration as the basis to have a confirmatory vote of the people that we are independent. We no longer seek permission. We simply seek permission from the people, because
Yeah.
in Scotland, the people are sovereign. Let's enact that sovereignty.
Amen. But as soon as when a date is called for a second referendum, would you agree that we need international uh, observers there to monitor everything that's going on? If you think back at the 2014 referendum and everything that went on with that, and the fact that it was rigged.
Yep, yep, I totally agree with you. There are some within the SNP are are no knowing this idea of having international observers. We know, and I have stated on our show, on the People's International Chat Show, via the People's Doorstep Referendum page, 2014, I can prove that at least 2 counting areas were compromised. It's in the public domain. Mid Lothian Council and East Lothian Council, both polling areas were compromised because the documentation pertaining to those 2 counting areas came into the public domain. We handed them in to the police, but because of the Edinburgh Agreement, this is my thinking, because of the Edinburgh Agreement, within the Edinburgh Agreement, the Scottish Government agreed with the English Parliament that there would be no exit polls, there would be no legal challenge to the result, and there would be no recount. That cannot happen again.
No, exactly.
And to ensure that does not happen again, we have international observers. I think it's Mary Hunter, a Glasgow SNP councillor, is dissing the need for international observers. If she hasn't got the sense to realise that thousands of people claimed, and it was a claim because it couldn't be proved. Well, it could be proved, but the evidence disappeared again. Mm-hmm. Claimed that they did not receive a ballot paper with a personal identification scan on it. They had blank, and they've written affidavits to that, but for some reason the affidavits went missing. And those were handed in at the Hope Over Fear rally in 2014 to the stage area by Naomi Wolf, a New York international human rights lawyer. She collected over 400 affidavits, and mysterious things happen. We don't have our hands on those materials now. And I had the evidence in my hand. I handed it to Dalkeith Police Station, and that should still be in their possession. But because of the Edinburgh Agreement, there was no legal challenge. That's my view. That's my thinking. We should not be tied up in that manner ever again.
No, I agree. Well, before the interview, we said we would try to keep it within the 15 minutes. We're already 4 minutes over. It's like we do a show, right?
Yeah.
Always over.
Yeah, we say we'll do an hour, and then it's an hour and 30 minutes. I think we should tie this up, and then it's 2 hours by the time you're finished.
Exactly. Well, what would your last message be to European viewers? What would you like to tell them and to have them know about the situation?
Just in the interests of democracy and the right thing, please continue to support us. I shall be in Germany with the Germans for Independence on the 27th or 28th of October. We're doing a couple of shows. We're taking a couple of shows narrating Scottish folklore in the Scots tongue, and it's being translated into the German tongue. So there's an event page on the Germans for Independence page and on my page. It's in German, so unfortunately I can't tell you the title of it. But being in German, I have managed to translate the details, so the details are there. And if you're in the area of Jena, near Püsnik, in the eastern side of Germany, on the 30th of October, please come along. You'll see my debut attempt at narrating literature in the Scots tongue, being translated by Ronnie Marco Krupp, a good friend and writer, well known in the literary scene in Germany. Definitely. So please keep supporting us. We will be free. It's an unstoppable force. This is inevitable now. Westminster has completely shown that they cannot be trusted and never could, but they have emphasised it by their actions in this past 6 months.
Exactly. Well, Pat, I want to thank you for the interview, and to the viewers. We'll have another interview very soon, and I want to thank you for watching. And please share every video that's on our YouTube channel. Share the channel itself. Subscribe to the channel and get the word out, guys. I want to thank you for watching and have a good night.
Thank you very much.